Hey guys, it's me, Uncle Greg, aka the Free American Spirit. Today we're going to talk about maintenance on the bird, and I'll show you what I mean. Back in my last little fly-in, I popped a tire in that wheel, and I went to Tractor Supply and got a different one. Now that wheel, you see this wide piece like this, has one on one side and one on the other. They didn't have those at Tractor Supply, and you see how the bearings just collapsed in there? So I took all that time, put a new wheel on. I actually bought two of them, and the bearing collapsed when I hit a gopher hole. That stuff happens, man. So now I have taken those off, put a new tube and tire on them, and I think they have more bearings because they have two of these. So they might actually have four bearings or three bearings. I don't know. I didn't take it apart. But they seem to be sturdier. So that took care of that. Once a month I got to crank this baby up and get her cleaned up and stuff. So I always have this tank drained, and I look down in there. I don't think you can see it down in there, probably not. But way down in there, there's some little particles of dirt or rust or something. That's an aluminum tank, so obviously it's not from that. It's from this cap. So I'm going to get another cap. I'm going to vacuum that out. And I always drain that tank before I put it away, because every month I got to put about a gallon in. So I'll hook a little gas tank up there, and we'll start doing on it. Now what I wanted, the main part of this was to show you about these batteries. So yesterday I was out here and I was messing with the battery that was the NLP5, which is a sister brother to this. This is about 3 steps up, and that was like 26 watt hours, 4 amp hours. This is the NLP14, which is 4 amp hours, 51 watt hours. And the reason I upped it is because, and I'll show this later in the video, I could crank that thing up and it would take a while because that gas tube is empty over there. You see it's empty, and it has to suck it all the way up there. And it cranked it for quite a while, sucked it up and got it going, and I turned it off and started again, turned it off, started again. On the third time, nothing happened, and that's because once the lithium battery gets depleted, the BMS, that's the thing that controls the battery inside, it like just shuts all power off. Now, this is a Lifepo4 battery, okay, supposedly. I think it says Lifepo4 on top of the battery. Yeah, see there? And it has a BMS, so it has overload protection, and it has underload protection, and whatever, this, that, the other. The BMS manages the cells and balances them and all that good, happy stuff. Now, I know some people say their battery blew up when it was just lithium because of their charging system on there. And basically, a lithium battery wants like 14.6 volts going to it. And then the BMS that's in the battery will regulate that, to full charge, float, capping it off, trickle, whatever. Um, and then motorcycle batteries don't do that. But the problem I was having is I had these old motorcycle batteries, they're like 80 bucks. And so when I got the smaller battery of that edition, it was 79, and this thing will last like 5 years. That battery, on the other hand, was dying, every season, either because of heat here in Florida or because of the winter up north. And if it lasted through a season, it didn't last much longer. I don't know how you guys, your luck with this. Maybe you stick it on a tender all the time and they last longer, but I tried that. So that battery right there runs about 100, I want to say 29 bucks, give or take, something like that. You have a battery core, but they don't discriminate. I had another one of those batteries, so I didn't get charged for the $12 core. So obviously the big advantage is that battery is 200 cranking amps, and I've used that all the time. But I was reading the manual, and it said for that starter, I should really have a 400 cranking amp or better, because the lower cranking amp could cause damage to my starter. I don't know how that is. Does it heat up with lower amps? That doesn't make sense, but that's what the manual says. So this battery has 500 cranking amps, And this battery weighs, put that battery on there, 2.5 pounds. Now the one I was doing yesterday, which you'll see at the end, only weighed like 1.5 pounds. Now they do sell some rubber things you can put on here for, you know, bumping, because they're made for motorcycle shock absorption. But I don't care about that because we don't have that much shock. And then this battery, that's 9.8 pounds. So you're looking at a 7.3 pound difference in these batteries. And theoretically, you know, for 45, 50 bucks more, this battery is going to last 5 times as long as that, season wise. So I had to buy a little charger for it, which is over in that mess somewhere. I'm not going to dig it out, but it's a little 5 amp charger. It costs 75 bucks. But I have lithiums all the time anyways. So let me introduce you to our sponsor. And while you're listening to them, I will hook the battery up and get the gas can out, and we will fire this puppy up. All right, kids, welcome back. That's right, I don't have a sponsor. I rely on the kindness of you to hit that thumbs up button. Maybe say a comment. If you really like us, use those links. It costs you nothing, but I make a little percentage off of Amazon. So here we go. I've got the tube stuck in the little gas there. It's going to suck it up there. I had busted my little switch the other day. I must have dropped this and hit it. That's the cutoff switch that goes on the top of here. But I don't need it for this test. We'll just use the switch up here and shut it off if I need to. So let's see what happens here. All right. Well, that was a lot faster spinning, I think. You can look at the older, whatchamacallit. You can look at the older battery film that I did. It'll be at the end of this on the smaller battery. But I believe that did crank a lot faster. I guess it didn't take as long to actually start up because I've already got gas in the bowl or whatnot. It's running good now. Sorry for the loud noise. I'm going to crank it up a little bit, so I'll turn this way maybe. Working some air bubbles out of there. Let her idle for a little bit. Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed that. Like I said, thumbs up, like, and subscribe. Share it with a friend. And watch the little bit of video after this to see that smaller battery in action. It's looking good. But what we're really going to do is we're going to check out this battery. This is an NLP5 from NOCO. It's a motorcycle battery. It's 12 volts, 250 amps, 2 amp hours. Puts out like 25 watts or something like that, 26. And then I bought a little 5 amp charger for it. I'll go into details about these more later, but it charged that little battery up pretty quick. So now instead of a 6-pound battery, I've got this little dinky battery here. Weighs about 1.5 pounds, if that, if you can see that. I haven't strapped it down all the way yet, but anywho, so what we're going to test is, will that have enough juice that I just charged to crank this motor up and pull the fuel all the way up this line, because it's going to take a while to suck it all the way up without any starting fluid or anything, and see if I can actually get through that process, and we'll see how that goes. So bear with me a minute. Alrighty, now we got everything drained out. We do have 2 fuel filters to go through, I believe. This one, and then after the pump there's one. And I did notice in my little tank there's just a little bit of dirt from the gas, so It's another thing I check every time I start this up. I'll clean that tank out, flush it real well, hook it back up so that we don't get anything in there. But let's check our throttle out. Make sure that's moving back and forth. Yeah, that's moving back and forth good. So we'll put this around here. And we will switch our hands. Well, I don't need to use the throttle right at the moment just to crank it. It's already up to there. Fuel is up to here, but it hasn't pulled up. I wonder if I got there's a little bit of fuel there. Might have an air leak. I doubt it though. Let me just make sure everything's in there. Give it a little bit of gas. Come on, baby, suck it up. Come on, baby. Come on. Right as I was letting off the gas, I pulled enough into it to get it going. Sweet! Sorry for how loud it is, but I guess that thing has plenty of juice. Oh man, that could have been dangerous. What was I thinking? Wow. Don't try this in your own backyard. We'll just let it run for a little while. So basically, I know that's got plenty of power to crank those. The only thing I'm worried about is somewhere in there, I don't know how many amps it puts out from the little generator, magneto or whatever it is that puts juice. You know, I don't want to leave that battery since it's a lithium ion battery. I doubt it would hurt it because it's made for a motorcycle. But I'm going to look at the wiring diagram and find the wire that goes to that output so that it won't be charging that battery while I'm running it. And I mean, you know, I'm going to put a little voltmeter on here in a minute, see how much amps we got left, or volts we got left in that thing. But, you know, it did all that cranking. Now the beauty of this is that battery at the time of this filming is about 75 bucks. You can get the 4 amp hour one for about 110 bucks, I think. Tax out the door. That was out the door, about 75 bucks. So I'm saving a lot of weight every season, unless you put your battery on a trickle charger. Basically every season you got to buy a new battery, which is almost the same price. I mean, the cheapest battery at 200 cranking amps or whatever for a regular motorcycle, an Everstart or an Easy Start or whatever they call them, you know, they're like 89 bucks, 79 bucks anyways. And I've had to replace it every season. And I have a tender. I don't know about you guys, but I had to replace it up north in the winters, and I had to place it down here because of the heat. So this battery should last 3, 4, 5 years. So, I mean, that's a win-win-win. Lots of weight off, keeps on going. So hey guys, tell me what you think about this. You know, how many volts does this thing put out to charge a battery? What's your experience with lithium-ion batteries? Give me a thumbs up, hit the, that like button, leave something in the comments, use those links. I'll have links to these in the description to the battery and the charger. But I appreciate you watching. Later, Gator.